The iPad might not be the Mac replacement that people have long wanted it to be, but it's a fantastic computer and it's even better when paired with a keyboard. The Magic Keyboard that Apple sell is amazing but pricey, but you can pair it with pretty much any Bluetooth-enabled keyboard. But when I chat to iPad owners who've done this, almost all of them either forget or weren't aware to begin with that there are loads of keyboard shortcuts for the iPad. So in this video, I'm going to share as many of them with you as I can. Okay, let's get into it. Before we begin, it is worth pointing out that I run an entirely Mac and iPad setup, so all of the keyboards that I own are Apple-specific keyboards. If you've connected a non-Apple specific keyboard to your iPad, you might have to check online to see which of the keys on your keyboard would replace the command button, the ones to the immediate left and right of the spacebar, because we do use that quite a lot in Apple-related shortcuts. But all of the other keys that we're going to talk about today, the Control, Option, Function, Tab key, all that kind of stuff, you should have those as standard on whatever keyboard it is that you're using, and I'll include a visual on screen for each shortcut so you know what to press. Also, this might sound super obvious to you, but in general, a shortcut is input by pressing and holding an operator key, which is generally the Command, Option, Control, Globe or Function key, or the Shift key, and then another key on the keyboard. Let's start by talking about some keyboard shortcuts related to the home screen. The most important one to talk about with regards to the home screen is the shortcut that gets you to the home screen in the first place, and that is the Globe and H key. So whatever app you're currently in, if you would like to quickly jump to your home screen, press and hold the Globe button and then press the H key on your keyboard. Once on the home screen, there are a number of different shortcuts that you can use. You can access Spotlight Search, although technically you can do this from pretty much anywhere on your iPad by pressing Command and the space key. Once in Spotlight Search, you can type whatever it is that you're looking for and simply hit the return key to access that particular result. If you're in an app, which means that the dock that you would normally see on the home screen is hidden, you can press the Globe and A button to quickly show the dock. If you press Globe, Shift and the A button, that will take you to the app library. You can then use the search box at the top of the app library to look for the particular app that you would like to open, or you can browse through all of the various folders. Pressing Globe, Shift and A will close the app library and take you back to the home screen. If you press the Globe and Q button, this will open a quick note. I've talked about quick notes quite a lot in previous iPad videos. I basically use these on my iPad and my Mac as the digital equivalent of sticky notes. If there's anything I want to make a quick note of, I create a quick note. I take my notes and it lives in the quick notes part of my notes app, where I can either delete it later because I realize that I no longer need it, or I can expand it into a more thought out note and I'd then file it somewhere appropriately. Pressing the Globe and C button will take you to the control center, while Globe and the N key will take you to your notifications. With both of these, you can repeat the shortcut to come out of control center or notifications respectively and take you back to what you were doing. Pressing the Globe button and the S key on your keyboard will open your iPad's voice assistant, although you should also be able to access that by pressing and holding the microphone button if your keyboard has this. You can also press the Globe button and the M key on your keyboard to bring up a cheat sheet of all of the available keyboard shortcuts. You can also access this by pressing and holding the Command button on your keyboard for just a moment to find out what keyboard shortcuts are available in the particular app, or you could of course just continue watching this video to find out everything that you need to know. Tips for getting the most out of your iPad are all well and good, but you're also going to want to make sure that your iPad stays in tip-top condition. And for that, you'll want a screen protector like the Paperlike 2.1. Big thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. I've recommended the Paperlike 2.1 screen protector multiple times here on the channel for a couple of really good reasons. First, this is a screen protector that still ensures that your screen looks amazing with it installed. And that's really important when you consider how amazing the screens on the new iPad Pro and iPad Air are. Colors look just as good, pictures still pop off the screen, everything looks as good as you'd expect it to. In fact, if you use your iPad outside, the matte surface helps reduce sun reflection. But you also get the added benefit of nanodots, a proprietary Paperlike technology. These tiny microbeads are designed to add resistance and improve haptic feedback when you're using the Apple Pencil. Compare that with the nano texture display on the new iPad Pros, which reduce screen glare but don't provide any haptic feedback, and you can see why the writing and drawing experience is so much better with Paperlike 2.1. If this sounds good to you, get your Paperlike 2.1 screen protector today by following the link in the description of this video, where you can also find cleaning accessories, folio cases, and more. Okay, let's talk about some multitasking keyboard shortcuts. So one of the most useful keyboard shortcuts that you can get used to on your iPad is the app switcher shortcut. The way that you would access this is by pressing and holding the globe button and then using the arrow keys, which are to the right of your keyboard. Pressing and holding the globe whilst pressing left and right will rotate you through all of the apps that you currently have open. If you press and hold the globe key and then press the up arrow, this will take you to the app switcher. From here, you can use the arrow keys to move around all of the open apps, and you would tap the enter button to take you into that particular app. If you're working in an app where you have multiple windows of the same app open, like Safari, for example, you can tap and hold the globe button and then press the down arrow on your keyboard, and this will show you all of the available windows that you have at the bottom of your screen. You can use the left and right arrows to move between the open windows, and in most instances, you'll be able to choose a new window by selecting it with the arrows and then pressing the return button to open a new window. If you want to move through open apps, but you want to be more specific about the one that you would like to open, you can press and hold the command button and then tap the tab key. This will move you from left to right through all of the open apps that you have on your iPad, and this will be shown to you with a bar in the center of your screen. When your cursor lands on the app that you would like to open, simply let go of the keys and you'll jump straight into that app. If you'd like to go in the opposite direction from right to left through the list of apps, press Command Shift and then the tab key. This will move you from right to left. You can quickly get to split screen mode by pressing the globe and control key and then using the left or right arrow key on your keyboard. This will shift whatever app you're currently using over to the left or right of your screen to then allow you to select a second app to use in split screen mode. For example, in the app that I'm currently in, if I press globe, control, and the left key, that app will shift all the way over to the left, and I can then select a second app to fill up the space on the right-hand side of my screen. Now, with two apps side by side, I can again use globe, control, and the left and right arrow keys to shift the apps from left to right, essentially flipping them from one side to the other. Let's take a few moments to look at some of the keyboard shortcuts associated with Safari, because there are lots, and some of these are really useful. Command and the letter T allows you to open a new tab in the window that you're currently browsing in. Command Shift and the N key allows you to open a new private tab. Interestingly, Command and the letter N on your keyboard does basically the same as Command and T. It will open up a new tab in the window that you're currently in. If you want to open a new window in the Safari profile that you're currently using, you would press Command Option N. You can open a new tab group by pressing Command Control N. You already know that if you tap on a link in Safari, that link is going to open and replace whatever it is that you're currently viewing. But if you press and hold the Command key on your keyboard before you press the link, that link will then open as a new tab in the background, allowing you to continue what you were doing before going and reading that article when you're ready. If you'd like the link to open in a new tab, but immediately take you into that tab, you would press Command and Shift on your keyboard and then click on the link. You can email the page that you're currently viewing by pressing Command and I, and it will open up a new email with a link directly to that page. A useful feature that you can toggle on and off is the ability to view the content of a link simply by hovering your cursor over the top of that link. You would do that by pressing Command and the / button. You'll then get a note in the bottom left corner letting you know that Show Links on Hover is enabled. Simply hover your cursor over any link to view that link again in the bottom left of the screen. Repeat the exact same shortcut to turn this off. If the page that you're reading supports reader mode, you can toggle this on and off by pressing Command, Shift, and the R key on your keyboard. If you use a favorites bar, which is a list of bookmarks that sits at the top of your screen just underneath the address bar, you can toggle this on and off by pressing Command, Shift, and B. You can reload the page that you're currently viewing by pressing Command and the letter R. If you want to make the text that you're reading bigger or smaller, press and hold the Command button and use the plus and minus buttons at the top right of your keyboard to increase and decrease the size of the font. At any point, if you want to get back to the actual size, press Command and the 0 button. Okay, let's look at some keyboard shortcuts specifically for the Mail app. If you press Command and the N key on your keyboard, that will open a new email. A really useful one is if you press Command, Shift, and N on your keyboard, that will force your Mail app to check to see if there are any new emails available to be downloaded. If you have different mailboxes, you can use the Command key and the numbers on your keyboard to move between those different mailboxes. For example, you might have an all inboxes, and that would most likely be Command and the number 1. But let's say that you had an iCloud email that was your second inbox, that would be Command and 2. A Gmail account could be your third inbox. That would be Command and the number 3. You might have a VIP mailbox. That would be Command and the number 4. The numbers that you use are going to be different depending on how you've got your mailbox set up, so play around with these to see what each one does for you. Command and the letter L on your keyboard will apply your filter. So if you've got a view unread only filter, for example, that's what this would allow you to quickly toggle on and off. You can also press Option Command F to search through your mailbox. You can delete emails simply by pressing the backspace key on your keyboard, because in this instance, this basically functions as a delete button. But you can also archive emails by pressing Shift, Command, and the letter A. Shift, Command, and the letter L will allow you to quickly flag an email, whereas Shift, Command, and the letter U will allow you to mark an email as unread. Shift, Command, and J allows you to move the selected email to your junk folder. Shift, Command, and the letter F allows you to forward that particular email. Shift, Command, and R is your reply all feature, whereas Command and R is your reply feature. A useful keyboard shortcut to remind you of here is that Command and Z. This allows you to undo any mistakes that you might make. Useful if you accidentally delete or put an email into the junk folder, for example. By the way, if you prefer to have content like this in a written format, there's a PDF version of this video, complete with screenshots, and you can access it along with all other PDFs I've created, plus future ones for just $5 a month, or by itself as a one-time payment. You can either scan the QR code that you can see on screen or follow the link in the description of this video to learn more. In terms of text editing, the keyboard shortcuts on the iPad aren't really any different from the keyboard shortcuts that you'd have on your Mac. You can use shortcuts like Command and A to quickly select all of the text in the document that you're currently viewing, and you can use shortcuts like Command and B to make text bold, Command and I to italicize text, and Command and U to underline text, for example. Standard shortcuts like Command and C to copy, Command and V to paste, and Command and X to cut all work here as well. Command and the letter Z will undo whatever you just did, whilst Command, Shift, and the letter Z will redo whatever you just did. Okay, let's finish the video up by talking about some shortcuts that are specific to some of the other first-party Apple apps. In the Photos app, you can zoom in and out by pressing and holding the Command button and using the plus and minus buttons at the top right of your keyboard. If you press and hold Command and the Option key, and then press the number 3, you can enable or disable a filter that will only show you the photos in the album that you're currently viewing. Replace the number 3 with the number 4 to do this for videos. In the Notes app, you can create a new note with Command and N, or you can create a new folder with Shift Command N. When you're done editing a note and you'd like to come out of edit mode into view mode, simply press Command and return. Press Command and the number 1 to view your notes in list view, Command and the number 2 to view your notes in folder view, and press Command and 3 to view the attachments of your notes. In the Calendar app, press Command and the N key to create a new entry in your calendar, and press Command and F to search for something. Press Command and T to go to today, and use Command and the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 to rotate between day, week, month, and year view respectively. In the Reminders app, you can create a new item with Command and N, and you can create a new list with Shift Command N. You can also create a new section within a list by pressing Option, Command, and N. A really useful keyboard shortcut here is Command, Control, and T. This will immediately change the due date of any overdue items in the list that you're currently viewing to today's date. This is really useful if you find that you've allowed a list to get a little bit out of control and you want to bring everything back onto your to-do list for that particular day. Command and the numbers on your keyboard will allow you to jump between the different lists that you've pinned in your Reminders app. So there you go. Clearly, I can't show you every possible keyboard shortcut for every single app on the iPad, and I would definitely encourage you to get into the habit of pressing and holding the Command button for a second to find out what shortcuts are available to you in the app that you're using. But what do you think? Were there any shortcuts in here that you're going to start using, or are there any shortcuts that you thought should have been included? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.